right, everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Patriots Only Please podcast. As usual, I am your co-host, Jeff.
Mr. Soley?
Yep, and we have gathered here today to discuss all things post-debate. Hey, as you know, as we like to do, we like to stay topical, but we don't usually jump on things until, we see how the dust kind of settles. We have our own opinions about each candidate's performance, but obviously we're going to be weighing in heavily on, actually on both of them. So I guess we'll start with you, Mr. Soley. What is your take post-debate, and how do you think this changes the direction of the election? Hey, that rhymes. If at all.
I think Trump started pretty strong. I think it felt long. It felt like a long 90 minutes. I felt Trump came out of the gate pretty good, pretty strong. Kamala was all over the place. And then by about, minute 35, 40, when he realized only he would be fact-checked and not her, and she realized only she'd be fact-checked and not her, whether she knew that in advance or not, it emboldened her, and she realized she could say anything and not worry about it. And they would just cut his mic off. So it ended up being the perfect format for Kamala. And as we were saying before the show started, and what I've been saying on the socials since, it was 3 against 1. We saw everything that Trump's been saying about the fake news since 2016 until today, this very moment. We saw it in real time. We saw it. We saw 2 ABC interviewers, debate hosts, not only interfere, not only fact check the former president, but editorialize after he spoke. They would editorialize for a sentence or two, then dive back into the debate. Like, what? Excuse me? Yeah. I've never, ever seen something this one-sided, unprofessional, non-journalistic, not even attempting to be impartial. Mm-hmm. And Kamala knew about this in advance. She had the questions in advance. It was everything it wasn't supposed to be, with the thumb on the scale against Trump.
How substantiated is that, argument that she did have the questions in advance? I mean, it certainly appeared so, but is that coming from?
It doesn't. Because I know that there's whistleblowers. There's whistleblowers at ABC who are releasing documents. But here's the thing. Whether she had the actual questions or not in advance, like we said again before the show started, the female host was her sorority sister. The woman that owns the network is her best buddy. And in real time, she wasn't getting fact checked. She talked about Project 25 for a good 8 minutes. We know that Trump has nothing to do with that. The commentators know that. So that's called misinformation. Something that you and I would get slammed for on any social media platform immediately. And ABC, one of the big 3 in this country, in the United States, peddled misinformation repeatedly on Kamala's behalf with impunity. And anything Trump said, hang on, it's bullshit, and you're a moron. Kamala, is he a moron? Trump's going, excuse me?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on here,
You know what else that's called? You know what else that's called? Election
censorship.
Interference. And election interference.
Yep. So to answer your question, I thought the debate worked against Kamala because she appeared to win the debate because she was able to speak freely with no repercussion at all. Trump wasn't allowed to retort because they turned his microphone off. And when he spoke, as soon as he finished, they would fact check him and editorialize against him. It was completely ridiculous. So it was hard to watch. I think Trump's closing statement was his best one. You've been there for 3.5 years. You've done nothing. Why is that? Should have started with that. Should have stuck with that. But I think what it did was move the needle of independence toward Trump. It moved the needle. Anyone that knows the system is kind of unfair saw it in real time. I mean, this is a very pivotal moment in the campaign. It's a pivotal moment in our country's history. And we just watched Trump agree to debate in enemy territory, ABC, not a Trump-friendly network. And the hosts couldn't have been more outspokenly not impartial. They were completely for Kamala and made it painfully obvious from the first second through the final moment, brazenly. And on the left, they're considered heroes now. So I mean, to answer your question, I think it moved the needle more in Trump's favor because everyone sees what he's up against. And I think ultimately the shine of that debate's already worn off because the next couple of days later, Kamala did an interview, an unscripted interview with a pro-left. Did you see what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely.
And she
completely
word
shit the
salad
bed as usual. Yeah.
Total word salad. So because again, so my answer is the debate was not a great night for Trump because he wasn't prepared for that level of unfairness. I don't know. I don't know what else to call it. You know what I mean? I don't know how anyone could perform well in that setup. But I do think it showed a lot of people what Trump's up against. And final point on the debate from my side. If this is what they're willing to do in public to make Trump look bad, what are they doing behind the scenes to make him look bad to everyone all the time, 24/7 worldwide?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 1,000%. Absolutely. No, I agree. I think the feedback that's been coming out over the last few days is pretty consistent across the board that, Kamala obviously had help. It was a very sympathetic environment for her. It was kind of a 3-against-1 gang up. Definitely they piled it on.
Not kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. They were certainly, editorializing all of the questions, and everything about the not fact checking and fact checking Trump and not fact checking Kamala. Totally true. But having said that, of course, again, it wasn't necessarily his best night, I think, because he let some of that get under his skin. He was a little angry and was upset. And to his point, when he held his rally out here a couple days later, he said, of course I was angry. I'm angry at the way the country is right now. I'm angry at all the shots that have been I've had to put up with. So I get it. There were a few missed opportunities, but I think, look, at the end of the day, I always reference Bongino because I'm a huge fan of his, but he has a good point. Elections really come down, especially debates. They a lot of times come down to snapshots and sound bites, right? And the sound bites, there really hasn't been much favoring Kamala because the snapshots are not, aren't flattering to her because she just sat there and scoffed at him all night, and then she didn't really have anything of substance. Even outlets like CNN, I mean, what I believe it was, Jake Tapper even kind of called out, the fact that she didn't really answer those questions. And the very first question, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? She couldn't answer that question because she can't. Nobody is better off.
And that was a question that stumped her in the interview, the one-on-one interview she had a few days later with a left-leaning reporter that was a complete disaster. Word salad. Same question. There is no answer. She has no answers. She has no policies. She has no substance. So, and she's attached to Joe Biden's failures forever. So, I mean, so I think the debate was a debacle. I think it was a sham. I think ABC should be ashamed of themselves. And I don't think any Republican candidate should go on a left-leaning news outlet again. Why do it? It always ends up being rigged, phony, weird, and not favorable to the Republican. And why do it? What I mean, if there's no, unfortunately, the left is so far to the left, there is no middle anymore. And I know it's a way to appeal to people in the middle, but you can appeal to them on different platforms. Go on X and talk to Musk again. And invite Kamala on. She won't show, but as they say, the invitation's wide open.
Yeah,
at least do it in a format where they're not going to put their thumb so heavily on the scale right in front of everybody and go, "We're cheating for her." You get it? We're cheating for her. We want her to win.
Yeah,
more the news, kind of.
Yeah, but again, the biggest issue I have with it is that it didn't. I don't think it moved the needle much. Look, Trump supporters. I don't think he lost any support.
No,
but I also don't think that Kamala, lost any support either. I mean, I don't know. I think everybody knows that they're in it for Kamala. Everybody knows that it's already baked in the cake. So nobody. And that side just doesn't. They don't care. That's how much they hate Trump. They hate him so much.
But there are still people that are undecided. There are still independents that are still trying to figure it out or waiting to make a decision that realized how little she cares about the issues. Because by now, after having this job for almost 4 years, being a senator before that, being a what does she call her, a prosecutor before that, to not know where you stand on the most critical issues facing our country today. And by the way, on your watch, as second in command, the country's fallen apart economically, open borders, endless wars, and you're still going, I can cackle, I can giggle about it. Hey, I'm a woman. Hey, it's okay. Not enough. It's not enough to win the election. I think the polls are wrong. I think there's going to be a groundswell for Trump. I think a lot of people that are marginalized are going to vote for Trump. I think people realize things are not going to get better if Kamala wins this election.
I'm inclined to agree. I would also think that, look, it's going to come down to the quote unquote kind of silent majority, because a lot of people are being more outspoken about their positions, but there still are quite a few people, like we said a couple episodes ago, they're going to show up and they're going to get to that polling spot and go, I think I got.
It's funny. It's funny. As you know, I've connected with the Trump field headquarters here in Las Vegas. I went canvassing for the first time yesterday in my life. We knocked on 77 doors, and mixed responses. But they were registered Republicans, or they had voted in the 2020 election for Trump, and they were undecided in the 2016 election, and they hadn't been active in the 2020 election cycle. But they were at one point Republicans. A lot of great conversations. A lot of people voting for Trump. A lot of people that aren't even registered, that they're just that let it expire or moved. And so I think a lot of people are going to get re-registered and vote for Trump. I think there's a lot of people just going to keep quiet about it and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of their own personal necessity, out of like their own personal economy. Like I can't keep living like this, man. I can't keep paying 3 times what everything's supposed to cost for another 4 years, including my rent,
absolutely,
my utility. I mean, it's
as
too
they
much.
should. As they should, as they should. And so hopefully more people kind of come to their senses, if nothing else, right when they hit the ballot box, and go, listen, right, this is a matter of self-preservation. We've got to just, get the country back on course. So yeah. And what's funny is, from what I understand now, this can certainly change by the minute, but when last I heard, even the odds hadn't changed, like the Vegas odds hadn't changed and moved in any direction towards Kamala's favor after that debate. So
if you're Nate Silver, Nate Silver, the prognosticator, he said Trump's going to win it. He's come out publicly and said everything's moving toward Trump, but I think he got it wrong with Hillary back in 2016. So I don't know how much I rely on Nate Silver anymore, but the fact
just
that
like that other guy. Alan, whatever can't remember his name, Alan Lichtman, where he predicted Kamala was going to win. So I just,
right.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm trying my best to kind of tune it out, but at the same time, you got to stay informed. You got to stay up on it. I mean, so
yeah. But the basic argument is very simple. How can you say I caused the, I mean, imagine, I don't know. And I ruined the neighborhood you're living in, but hire me back to fix the neighborhood that I just ruined. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't have you back. I don't want you anywhere near my neighborhood. I want you to move, go to a different neighborhood. That's the pitch. The pitch is Joe and I took what Trump gave us and made it 100 times worse. Every metric you can look at. But if you give me the big guy, if you give me the big job, the number one job, I'll have the power to fix all that stuff that I effed up. Any logic, reason, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to that statement.
Absolutely.
Let alone the fact that she can't enunciate any real policy changes. And whenever she does, price controls, things that we know don't work. I mean, she's reading them from books, or she's got a little thing in her ear saying, say price controls, and then talk about Quavo. Yeah. You know what I mean? What?
Yeah. So now, speaking of Kamala's policies, she's finally starting to release some of her policies, and of course we know that she's a big fan of open borders, because if not, I mean, she would have exercised her power, as the borders are, to do something about it over the last 3.5, almost 4 years.
Right.
But we do have an interesting little take, a video that you shared that I thought was hits pretty hard, particularly about the open border policy. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share that video with the audience, and I'm sure we'll have a few things to say about that.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yes, please. Thank you.
The Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
There's really no way to argue any of that. I mean,
No.
I was just looking, just to reconfirming it today that voter ID is not required in IDs are not required to vote, at least in this state of Nevada.
No, they're not.
So,
No, they're not.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, they're not required. They're not required in this state.
Nope.
So, that. Tell me what's not plausible about any of that.
Well, it's happening. It's more than plausible. It's happening. And this, and the apportionment issue is something that Elon Musk talks about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, everything. And this is what they're laying out the Democrats' plan. They're creating a new majority, a permanent majority. So once they've done that, they won't need to have debates anymore. Mm-hmm. They can censor anything they want to. And it's really a travesty to lifelong. I mean, people that are born in this country. I was watching so that video is telling and scary and true, in my opinion. And it should every liberal voter that's considering voting for Kamala should watch that video and change their mind. They won't, but they should, because it hasn't affected them yet. But when it does affect them, it'll be too late. Like it is in Britain, like it is in Australia, like it is in other places in the world, Sweden, where they've imported way too many people from countries that don't share their country's cultural values. Douglas Murray had I was watching Douglas Murray on the PBD podcast. They had a pretty intense conversation, by the way, about immigration and things. And Murray said that in the UK, they've got stats for this. And by the way, it's even hard. And one thing this video doesn't address, which is important to mention, I think, is that the government doesn't allow states to keep records of this stuff anymore. So at the federal level, if you ask them the question, who is committing which migrants are committing these violent crimes? We don't know. We don't keep that information. We don't track it that way. We track asylum seekers. So you know what I mean? So you can't even find out who's committing these crimes. And that's the plan. It's deliberate. But what Murray said was, in the UK, 2008 until today, 77% of jobs filled in the UK are from people not born in the UK. The government is literally rewarding jobs to people who are not native-born British citizens. At what point do taxpayers say enough is enough already? Come on.
So all of this begs the question, since all of this, hey, we'll call it corruption, but it's all out in the open, right? Right. You can't refute any of that.
Nope.
Because it's literally happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? I mean, the only thing you can do to even have a chance at winning this election is because look, they talk about how, well, they keep playing the clip, Trump, well, don't worry, you won't have to vote again. That first of all, again, something else that was taken way out of context, but their whole accusation is that we're going to take over. It's going to be this tyrannical government. Trump will never leave. They're the ones that are instituting that policy right now. They'll never leave. If Trump doesn't win this election, regardless of what you may think personally of Trump or his style or whatever your personal opinion is about the man, if we don't get these people out, they're going to make sure that that they're always in power, that they never leave.
Right.
So
yes.
How do you beat this? I mean, this is the last chance we got. How do you beat this?
Well, by what Yadasha said, the state director for Blexit here in Nevada, we had a great conversation with her on the show. By meeting people face to face as much as you can and let them know, share your values, but you're thinking the wrong. You're thinking emotionally about political issues. Think about was your life better when Trump was president compared to now? Just look at your wallet, look at your expenses, look at your life, look at the quality of your life. Trump's already been the president. And apart from COVID, it was a great administration. COVID threw a monkey wrench into the entire world. Okay, that changed things for everyone. But that's essentially it. So people have to vote for out of self-interest. And how do you ally yourself with a party that doesn't have your self-interest at heart anymore? That are saying we're going to take your tax dollars and give almost all of it to people that don't belong, that aren't here, they're here illegally. How is that your ally?
Exactly. But see, that is addressing the issue on the voter level, right? I'm talking about how do you address the issue and fight it at the corruption level? They're going to cheat. That they still have all of these people pouring into the country. That as of right now, like I said, Nevada certainly isn't checking IDs at the ballot box. So what recourse do we have? If we go, just like 2020, we go to bed at night thinking, okay, Trump's gonna win, and then we wake up, hey, Kamala's the 47th president.
Well, I mean, it's a good question, Jeff, but there's an answer, and all I can say is the answer is the Lord Trump, now the co-chair of the RNC, is employing tens of thousands of lawyers nationally to fight election integrity as much as they can, and they're encouraging people to be poll watchers. I don't know what else we can do.
Yeah,
but that's something, and we weren't nearly as aware of it in 2020 as we are now, and we can stop it as much as we can stop it. There's going to be some cheating, and too big to rig. We need to come out in ridiculous numbers. I mean, Brett Weinstein talks about this all the time. They're having a huge September 29th. They're having a huge event on the Mall in D.C. Brett Weinstein, a lifelong Democrat who's now voting for Trump. It's called Save the Republic or something like that. Renew the Republic or something like that.
Okay.
It's a unity movement. But to answer your question, you're framing it in a way to make it sound impossible to change it, but it's not impossible to change it. And if we believe that, we wouldn't do the podcast. So we have to believe.
I certainly stand behind the too big to rig. I mean, that's because if nothing else, you have to do exactly what you were doing the other day, knocking on doors, reaching people, having those conversations, just getting people registered to vote like that. Those are real things that will hopefully move the needle as much as possible. Getting people registered, not only registered, but voting in like we said, in their own best interest, voting for Trump, so yes, numbers are definitely going to help. I just really think we have to be vigilant because they did it before. They're going to do it again. But to your point, there's a lot of people that are looking for it now that maybe weren't looking for it, last time. So that's encouraging.
And there's a lot of this too. There's a lot of DIY political activism happening on all the socials, TikTok, from TikTok to Rumble, everywhere, of people just talking about. I mean, you'd be surprised that some people have their minds changed by their neighbors, not by Kamala or Trump or stuff they get in the mail, donation requests. They just, one day you're at the bank and you're going, I can't believe how broke I am. And when Trump was around, it was there's a lot of that, dude. There's just a lot of people that are going to have an aha moment and go, oh my God, This really has. I mean, there's liberals for Trump now. I mean, I'm on TikTok a lot. People are waking up every day and going, I really did my own research finally. It took like an afternoon. And the Charlottesville thing, lie. Like all these things they keep throwing up about Trump, lie. Then they watch the ABC thing and go, wait a minute. They're only picking on the dude. They let her completely say whatever she wanted. Like so to your point, there's going to be a lot more of that between now and November 5th. And the more Kamala talks, the more people go, she really has no idea what she's saying. She's really just a puppet. She's really just saying anything. But she's the reason why the things are so bad. She's one half of she and Biden that's the reason things have gotten so shitty. So it's like you can't, she's not the person to fix it. Trump is. She has nothing to say. She has no real policies, and the policies that she has been releasing finally after all this time are bad policies. So I'm sure someone else wrote for her.
Oh, absolutely. Look, she's literally she's just a puppet, as was her boss, just a puppet, and as we can fairly argue that most modern day presidents have been, except for Donald Trump, which is why he scares the establishment. So look, on that note, I know we're getting towards the time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I think the bottom line, could Trump be a better debater? Fine. That's arguable. But look, he's never been a smooth talker. At the end of the day, I don't really care who's the smoothest talker. I want somebody who's going to get the job done and work on our behalf for America. It's time for America to be first again. And that's not going to be, Kamala.
No, but let's also agree that this debate, out of all since this country's been a country and since we've been filming debates and having debates, there's never been a debate this visually one-sided.
Oh, sure.
I couldn't believe what I was watching. So Winston Churchill could have failed in that debate. One of the most elegant statesmen in the history of history. If the people asking questions are going, you smoke Tony cigars, right, Winston? Like, excuse me? Like, what do you? I mean, editorializing, fact checking, and being, you know what I mean. So let's just also say that, like,
sure,
good debater or not debater in that kind of a format, that 3 against 1 format where they can turn your microphone off too. Who could have shined in that moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, just no other election has been this one-sided. No other president has been this attacked.
So that debate to me, is it's a wash because of how unbalanced it was. Shame on ABC, and it should be a lesson. It should be a lesson for the RNC to never agree to be on a left-leaning network again. I don't care how important debates are; they are important. So if they're that important, come on Fox News, come on OAN, come on Newsmax. But enough of going to them and getting slaughtered and being set up. It wasn't fair. It was a very, very terrible debate, and I don't blame Trump for losing his cool. And I blame anyone that watched that debate and walked away thinking, boy, she won and it was a fair debate. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's literally just theater at this point.
It's theater. So, and that's why Trump has said no more debates. I hope he sticks to that plan. No one needs to see them talk anymore because she's not saying anything and he's getting attacked. That's that's not even really helpful at this point. We know what they think. We know what they've done. Trump, great president, America first. Kamala, Joe, terrible administration. Inflation rate twice has been in 20 years. Open borders. I can go on. Endless wars. The choice is obvious to us. And I think of every single day, with each passing day, it's going to become more and more obvious to average Americans.
Yeah. So again, I think to wrap it up, make it too big to rig. It has to be too big to rig. That's go out, actually talk to people, shake hands, have conversations, try to, appeal to obviously the hearts and minds, but in this case, the minds of people who just can't afford the day-to-day things anymore. So
we can't afford former years of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Obama policies. It's enough already.
Absolutely. So we've got this is our last chance to get it right. So with that, thank you so much for anybody watching. Don't forget to, come find us at patriotsonlyplease.com. We are at all of the platforms, the YouTubes, the Spotifys, the Apple Musics, the Amazons, the iHeartRadios, everywhere. All of those, evil legacy media platforms. We're all over them. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow at Patriots Only Please on all of the other censored and non-censored platforms. You can take your pick. We're on, if you want your censorship, if you like it served up, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, they all love to censor. But if you like it uncensored, if you like it rough and uncensored, head over to Rumble. We're there too. We're on the X platform. We're on, where else? Oh, we're on Truth Social even. So, I mean, however you like it, we're going to be there for you. So, Anyway, any final parting words?
Keep on trumping, guys. Just, don't let the fake hype distract you. Don't let the mainstream media distract you. Focus on Trump's message. Focus on what Trump's already done, what we know he'll do when he gets back into office. Make it too big to rig. Whatever state you're in, make sure the people you care about are registered to vote. And rallies are, like Jeff says, rallies are great, but voting matters the most. Your vote is your voice. Speak up.
Yep. Yeah. Again, go out and vote. Get registered if you're not registered, but definitely get registered and show up because, again, rallies are great. Donations are even better. But all of it is to get your vote. So if you can't show up and you can't send and you can't send money, check a box. Take 5 seconds and check a box. Please get registered and then check the box. That's all we're asking.
And watch
you to
this show, and you can keep watching this show.
Yes, and keep liking, subscribing, following, and checking out patriotsonlyplease.com. All right, until next time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Will see you out in the world. All right, bye for now, folks.
Keep on trumping.